Thank you. That's enough.
Welcome back to our wonderful celebration of Denby 68. We are inside the Hipro village. It is, I suppose, a set of buildings that have come together to form this wonderful space. And for those of you who are at home and you're watching this online, we encourage you to come on out because what you're seeing online, believe you me, it is so much better when you're in the space. So we want you to come in. We want you to be a part of the experience as we continue to share in Denby 68. It is, of course, the celebration of the 60th anniversary of this country of ours. And we have lots to learn about agriculture. What is the theme for your organization for this year?
For Denby, well,
No, but I don't want for Denby. I want what you're going with. It's on my shirt.
yes. But for Denby, it is food independence, which is also our latest campaign, which we are using Denby as the platform to launch.
So it's a launch of
Yes, the food.
Food
Well, we
Independence
launched in
JA.
early July, but Denby is our strong representation of food independence.
All right. I thought you're gonna give me gross smart.
No.
All right, no
Yes.
problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I should tell you who this is. This is Dane Patterson. He's business development manager for Hipro. And of course, he is a gentleman who has a lot of experience. I met Dane here. Is it Denby I met you, Dane?
Possibly.
Yes, it
many
is
a year ago.
We won't tell them how long ago
Yes,
that
yes.
was. But then one of the challenges that we face in business here in Jamaica
Yes.
is how to make those businesses sustainable.
Right.
And if we're talking about independence and food
Right.
independence, then this whole issue of sustainability has to be a part of that narrative.
Absolutely.
Where I want to start, though, is how we have been doing, you think, the members of the agricultural sector in terms of establishing the businesses.
Right.
Have we been making missteps?
Well, I think we have started. Well, not that we have started because we are many years into an established agricultural economy. And if you look at that from the larger, the higher level, all the segments of agriculture, whether it's the broiler segment, pig segment, layer segment, cattle, horse, fish, all the areas of agriculture, we have been successful in a few and done, and no more, well, the mic chipped out, sorry there. And we've done very well in a few segments. If we look at broiler out here to start, as an example, we have a very good case study here in even our own company in our booth, and not just because it's the best dressed chicken and they're right here, but the poultry sector is a very good case study for sustainability in agriculture. And if I can just share for 30 seconds or so how that was built out. So many decades ago, Jamaica was not self-sufficient in poultry or chicken meat as it is today. So private enterprise, the Sydney Levy and Partners, is all right? The Sydney Levy and Partners who founded the Best Dressed Chicken identified that there was an opportunity to produce and supply a locally grown, dressed meaning slaughtered and packaged and prepared chicken ready for the consumer. And what has come out of that, or what was required, is all the systems and the supply chain that was required behind that vision to create a poultry industry. So you're talking about inputs, the input suppliers, whether it be importing corn, acquiring a feed mill to manufacture that feed which is used to grow the chicken, building out a hatchery, all training the technical representatives that are needed, getting contract farmers involved. So there's an entire supply chain behind that little yellow chicken that everybody loves to come to Denby and touch. And even when you go to the jerk man and you eat jerk chicken, you think it's just jerk chicken come out of a jerk pan. No, it don't work like that. So it took many decades to build a supply chain that today we can all rely on and know that there's a consistent supply of poultry meat. And Jamaica is self-sufficient in its fresh poultry. the only thing we import is chicken neck and back. And that too is an opportunity to be replaced by the small farmer who produces a fresh, locally grown pound of chicken meat at roughly the same price as imported chicken neck and back. So there is still room for the poultry industry, the broiler industry to grow.
That is absolutely fantastic. And one of the ways that this poultry industry has been built is
Right.
with the help of the small farmer that
Yep.
you spoke about, where you have
Absolutely.
a large organization such as yours,
Yes.
supported by those small farmers in the communities. How do you pull that collaboration together? Because of course they supply you as well.
Yeah, so well, we supply the small farmers with the same inputs, animal feeds, baby chicks, the veterinary pharmacy, and all the products that's required there. And the small farmers represent up to, and especially during the pandemic, they really step forward and produce for the country, producing near to 40% of all the chicken meat that we consume locally. So they rely on us for technical support and reliable supply of animal feeds and baby chicks, no matter what's happening, whether it's a pandemic or not. Chicken feed needs to be here, baby chicks need to be here, or there is no chicken meat.
But very critically, one of the things that has come out of this pandemic is that there are a lot of people who have gone into the poultry industry. How has that impacted the business overall?
Positively, definitely positively. So a lot of persons who may have been displaced during the last 2 years were able to get the technical information they need and all the inputs that they need and and find a source of income for themselves, or create a source of income through farming. And not just in poultry, but whether it's in the agronomy side of business where you need seeds and fertilizers and spray pans. Farming was there for our country during the worst of times in the last 2 years.
I want you to break it down because I know you have the way you think and the way you have structured this. You've taken a three-prong approach to this whole issue of sustainability. Walk us through that.
So we spoke briefly about the segments of agriculture. So we know that the poultry industry is a success story, and so is the egg industry and the pig industry. Those markets, well, those segments are at a national level, if you want to call it that. But for business development, for the farmer and the farm store and all the stakeholders in the industry, there's a slightly different approach. To me, business, the agricultural business, or any business out there, let's say any business, what's the most important thing in business? Let's ask somebody. Let's ask Sheldon Hassart over there, who is yes, ask Sheldon.
What is the most important?
What's the most important aspect of business? Of being in business? No, you can't stay there. Just shout. It says a small farmers. All right. So what I would say out there is profitability.
Right.
And in short, it is, are you selling your produce for less than it costs you to produce? Different use of the same word. But it's not, well, going back, farmers confuse revenues and money with profitability. I think that's a challenge that we have in many businesses, not just agriculture. So to manage your own business, you have to be very aware of what the cost of your inputs are, whether the price is going up today or going down tomorrow. The question is, do you know how much it costs you to produce the egg, the chicken, the pig, anything that you are producing? You have to be carefully tracking the cost of your production. And in that cost of production is our input, our labor as farmers or business owners. Are you paying yourself a salary, which small business owners don't necessarily do? You produce, you get some revenues, you call that your own.
Right.
But that's not so. After all of your inputs have been taken out and your salary has been taken out, what is left is what you should call your profits.
Let me say something to you. Many of the farmers will likely tell you that they don't put themselves on a salary. How
Yes.
critical is it for them to do that?
Well, they need to do it because that's the way. Well, you have bills and responsibilities as an individual on top of what is required for you to grow your farm or to run your business or to run your operation. And we need to get into the habit of paying ourselves a salary. Let's think about taxes. The government takes taxes out of your salary if you're a salaried employee for a reason, because you have to pay over your taxes first. So treat your salary as your payment to yourself.
Right.
And you must know or must value your time in your business and decide what you want that salary to be, because from there it drives many other things. How much money do I need to make? What's the size of my business? How do I scale? When do I scale? And so on. But it's vital just to make that differentiation between cash flow and profits. All those things need to be considered.
The, what is the easiest approach, the best approach for a farmer to take to getting all of this done so it doesn't become a drag for them? It is not a major issue, but
Right.
something that they can
Keep
get
it
through
simple.
easily. Yes.
But it is very simple, out there. I mean, record keeping. And how do we say bookkeeping? Write it down on a piece of paper. Just keep it very simple. Save your receipt. You don't even if you don't save your receipts, just write it down. If you know that you have bought 100 baby chicks and 10 bags of feed, that goes on the paper. You go over to the Hipro pharmacy and you buy a pack of vitamins, put it there. You buy a liter of Selmanax, which is a prebiotic for your chicks, put it there. And by the end of that crop, if you know how much you have spent for the last 6 weeks, say it's $10, and you have produced chickens and sold it for $15, you can easily work out that, okay, $5 is what I've generated in value. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you must keep a record, because when you're in business and you're spending money daily, it can happen very quickly. I could lose a receipt and forget about an expense. So just write it down, record it somewhere.
All right. The issue, Dane, of sustainability is also very critical because it is one thing, you get it right now.
Yes.
But how do you sustain that business into the future, especially in the climate that we now have, where there's a lot of talk about the climatic conditions that we're facing? We have the situation happening between Russia and Ukraine. We have COVID-19. So there are so many things coming at you. How do you sustain a business in this kind of climate?
Right. So again, that first step is important, to know what business you're in, to keep records so you know how to adjust your selling prices and maintain your profitability. That $5 that you're trying to make happen even if your input costs rise. Once you know what they are, you have to adjust your selling prices. That's the first
So
thing.
you're going to have to pass it on to the consumer.
We all have to face price increases, no matter what industry we're in. I would want to talk about the exchange rate, but where was the exchange rate 30 years ago? Where is it today? Inflation and price increases is part of life. It has to be controlled, but it is something that happens. But if you are in business, you too, in truth, can't absorb everything for the consumer. So there has to be a balance of a price increase and making sure that we're in an affordable sector and we can all survive. So there has to be a balance.
Let me find out from you, when the farmer is pulling together his business and he's coming to you for the baby chicks, coming to you for all of the products that he's going to need.
Yes.
Are you also providing that kind of support, not just on the technical side, but perhaps a hand holding on the business side as well?
Well, we do. So we go around and have our feeder. I mean, for the last 2 years, it's been less interactions out there. But now as we open up, we're opening up our feeder meetings schedule again. And in those sessions, we walk farmers through not just the technical, but a little bit of business as well. And then all our husbandry guides and management guides do have direction on how to manage your business sustainably. But just going back as well, Altio, as you said, how do we look to the future for sustainability? So there is opportunity to grow in or established agricultural sectors. Um, but for you as a business person, you need to be looking for those markets that you can grow into. I think what happens to us in farming or in agriculture, whether you're a farmer or a farm store, or me and you out there, we compete in the same town, is me against you,
And we're selling the same
and we're
thing.
selling the same thing. If you take off $10, I take off 11 because I want to keep my customer from you. Whereas if we both looked at expansion and said, you know what, well, we are in Maypen, but what if I could sell into a market in Kingston? Then you expand your potential for sales and you grow into your market. So we shouldn't be afraid of growing our distribution networks and expanding. Yes, it takes some work. I can't just sell to my neighbor down the road. But if you really want to grow, you have to have an excellent distribution channel, and grow into the space and increase your total addressable market.
And
as
of
we would
course,
say.
developing partnerships within those communities is going to be very,
Yes.
very important, because I think what happens these days sometimes is that there is so much competition, as you say, taking place, that the businesses, they sometimes forget. If we perhaps came together and bought one cold storage unit, we
Right.
could do exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
the partnerships are needed,
Yes.
both public, private, and private to private partnerships.
Okay.
We can work together.
Let me just ask you to comment on the range of businesses that can come out of what you're doing at Hipro. Because I
Right.
look around, I see baby chicks, I see honey, which means that you're into the business of helping the farmers develop the apres. Earlier this afternoon, I spoke with Dr. Bellamy about fisheries, and I hear that you're doing a significant amount of work there. I am seeing what seems to be a hydroponic
Hydroponics,
setup.
yes.
So, and then I'm looking further over, I'm seeing machinery and equipment. Walk me through some of what you have on display here and how all of these tie into opportunities for different businesses to be developed.
Right, right. So our theme at Denby is food independence, which is to achieve sustainability, we have to have consistency and a reliable supply of agricultural produce, all the inputs required to produce the food on the other side. So here we have a representation of some of the segments that you could get into. And I mean, even as you speak about bees, I think bees is one of the most sustainable agricultural fields you can get into. When I look at that beehive, I see 10,000 little workers that just fly away, go and get pollen, come back, make honey, spit it out into a jar, and then you, the business owner, have a jar of honey to sell. But the sustainability side, the climate smart side, is if we don't protect the bees that are pollinators of everything else that produces food, then we are in serious trouble.
In fact, Dane, it is important to point out that I think about 3 years ago, the bee was named the most important creature
Right.
on planet Earth.
There you go.
More important than me, more important than
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Because they will be here when we are gone. So we are just representing some segments that maybe not everybody is familiar with. We want to educate them, show them. We have the live bees here, to kind of walk them through what these new, not new segments, because they're there, but if you're interested, we have the information here.
So I could potentially come in and get a full setup, the boxes and all of the equipment, the smoke or whatever else that is
So
needed.
everything that is on display here is available at Hipro,
Except the honey.
except the honey. Yes, yeah, but we can make arrangements for you.
You're helping them to make the honey.
Yeah, we can arrange that. And some other areas as well. So hydroponics or aquaponics. So this system here is an A-frame hydroponic system. But the difference, so this is hydroponics, which is soluble fertilizer circulating. But all you would have to do is change a reservoir and have fish, which then produce the nutrient that you can use. So all we're doing is representing some opportunities for farmers to ensure that they can reliably supply or consume in public.
All right, I'm getting the wrap-up signal.
Yes,
so
yes.
30 seconds to tell all of the people who are watching us now, who are listening, why they should come
Right.
to Denby and come to Hipro.
Visit Denby. It's been 2 years. It's safe. Protocols are in place. We are here to talk about food independence and food security. All the information you need is here.
All right. Thank you so very
All
much.
right.
Dane Patterson, Business
Thank you.
Development Manager for Hipro. And of course, you heard him. Come on down and be a part of this wonderful experience. It's Denby 68 as we celebrate Jamaica 60.